So I have a lot of opinions on things if you scroll through my YouTubies, but this isn't an opinion. This is just a straight up informational video on one of my favorite cameras, and you can watch a review I'm posting of that as I record this. The Voightlander Vitessa T. Mine is a 1956 model. We're going to go through basic operations, loading, unloading. Now I don't have film in this, so you will have missed that bit of reality. But this is for someone that just picked one of these up, and it's a beautiful camera, and if you just picked one up, congratulations. They are amazing, and you're going to love it. So operation-wise, of course, mine doesn't have strap hooks. Yours might. Mine doesn't have the bevel things, filtery thing over the light meter. Yours might. There's a lot of different versions. Mine has meters on the focusing scale. Yours might have feet. Again, lots of different versions. Number one thing we're going to talk about with rangefinder cameras, because it's not an SLR, you're not looking directly through the lens, you're looking through here with your focusing finder coming from there. Take your lens off. There's nothing more disappointing than firing off a couple shots, especially when there's no TTL, so you think you're metered, and your lens cap just fucked you. So take your lens cap off. With that being said, how do you load your film? So on the bottom of your camera, there is this cute little switch, and you'll pull it up, turn it, you'll feel it detent. Your whole front comes off. Now, people are going to ask what this dealy bob is in this wheel in the front, and that you can look up the manual, excuse me, will tell you it's an indicator for different types of films you have in, so what the balance is, if it's slide, black and white, color negative, color positive, which is slide, any of that right there. And we'll get to this little dangly bit in here in a second. So to put in your film, you simply, you're going to put it in this side, run your film around into this little slit here. Make sure it grabs the sprocket holes. I like to give it a push to just advance everything. And then you're good to go. I like to have my film tense across there, and the reason for that is going to be when you're taking your camera, and I hold mine, I will recommend this to you, you want that film tensed across that plane, and you'll want to hold it upside down, and you'll not want to be right-handed, so your hand jiggles like an old man, or you'll want to be right-handed, so if you're left-handed like me, your hand doesn't jiggle like an old man when you hold it, and you take it, because you're going to have that pressure plate, and if your film isn't tensed, you're going to catch a bit of that. And you're just going to fuck around and be pissed off, and you don't want to do that. And scratch your film, and your negatives are fucked, and you're mad, and why did I buy this? And just do it this way. So if you're tensed film, and then this should just slide right back over. Another thing, too, before I forget, is you'll want to reset your frame counter. Now mine is sitting here at 2 because I've advanced some films, or some frames on it, just for demonstration. But you just turn it. Let's see, this would be counterclockwise. Back to your diamond, which now your arrow here should be overhead. Mine's been serviced at some point. Again, I don't buy my cameras to be shelf pieces. They are users, so that doesn't bother me. So to the diamond. Nice and simple. Top goes back on. Again, we talked about tensing film. Turn your switch. The opposite of what you did to take it off. And you'll want to push into your rewind spool thing will kind of stick out. You want to push that back in. Now, what you'll want to do is you hold your little actuator forwarder thing. Voightlander had a technical term for it. I can't think of it right now. You hold this button forward, so push it toward the back of the camera. And click, click. That allows you to bypass actuating the shutter. So you can just do 2-2, move those frames right along, which is genius. Bang. And you're in action to take some shots. So your counter will be at 0, all is well. You don't have those blank space to take up and just shoot on, which if you're doing stuff in the dark room is really cool. Moving on, so obviously pretty simple. If you want to shoot the camera, push the plunger down and fire. If you want to lock it, which I've talked about too in another video, it's a little bit of a finagle, and probably because these are older now and they have a lot of wear and tear on them. But you kind of got to push down this plunger, and you just work it, and you kind of push it to a side, and it will lock down, and then it will lock your camera, and then it'll fit in your case. which goes in this quarter 20 here on the side. The other thing with operation that really kind of fucked with people on this is, so you look at your meter and you're gonna have this chart right there, A, B, C, D, E. So you take this dial in the back and turn it to the equivalent chart with the letter of whatever film you have in the camera. Okay. And from there, you'll take a light reading, and let's say it says your exposure factor is, oh shit, what we're on now, 12. Well, let's say you're on 13. I'll adjust to 13. So your ring there, see, is on your little red arrows on 13. You want to, and you need 12. Pick it up, turn it. So there's your 12. Now what's interesting is this will adjust your aperture and your shutter at the same time, so you're still within that exposure factor. And I love to, and I mentioned this on my review, that it moves this depth of field scale much like you see with the Hasselblads, and I think that's just sexy as hell. Of course, you can change your settings here for if you have flash or self timer on the side there. And then if you'd like to remove your lens, you have this little foot here, which helps your camera sit up if you just set it down. So you want to change your lens. So there's a few different lens options on this mount. You flip this down, push this, and then just give it a little turn, and you're good to go. I'm not going to take it off just because I'm lazy right now, but hey. And then if you want to rewind your film because, you know, you're done and you want to either send it off to the lab or do it yourself in the basement there, or the wife's sewing room, whatever, flip out your rewinder. And one thing I will recommend, because these can get fickle, is if you're shooting and you notice that this little red thing here isn't moving, make sure to hold this down while you're advancing, because it will advance the shutter still, and that will assure, if you have a problematic camera, that you are still advancing your film. So you want to rewind it, pop this out, pretty straightforward. It gives you an arrow which way to go, and then hold this button, and you're rewinding. Rewind it all back up, take the back off, and that, my friends, is how you operate one of the most sexy cameras ever made, the Voightlander Vitessa T. And then, of course, if you want to focus, right there.